M3GAN, the Hackable Human Guide. The world's predictive programming reveal through a movie of the hackable human emotional experience through artificial intelligence. RF BrainScan, WLAN sensing, and brain interface for the workplace. All these HARs and more recommended by the World Economic Forum's 2023 legacy. If you're excited about hearing more about this, stay tuned today for Gods and Prophets 67. I'm Tay Lon Truth.
And Mark Santana.
And today on Gods and Prophets, this subject and more, we're really covering some very wild and new technology, but I'll let the World Economic Forum speak for itself. If you haven't seen M3GAN, one of the spoilers and one of the links here is that M3GAN scans using her robot eyes to see the human emotional experience that the little girl is going through and kind of makes judgment calls on how she's going to either discipline or interact with the little girl. At the same time that the Davos World Economic Forum community meeting that they just came out, that required unvaccinated pilots and 5,000 mercenaries to guard, has come out with a new series of abomination videos worse than those fucking Grubhub animated ones that we'll take a look at today here on the podcast. And this is the first one.
Mentally move the cursor to the left and scroll through your brain data over the past few hours. You can see your stress levels rising as the deadline to finish your memo approached, causing a peak in your beta brainwave activity right before an alert popped up, telling you to take a brain break. But what's that unusual change in your brain activity when you're asleep? It started earlier in the month. You send a text message to your doctor with a mental swipe of your cursor. Could you take a quick look at my
Neuralink, baby.
Anything to worry about? Your mind starts to wander to the new college.
Have you heard about Elon Musk's Neuralink, Mark?
Given the
oh, yeah, of course. I have made several jokes about, if it came out tomorrow, I'd run over and ask him to plug me up. Who likes picking up their cell phone these days and I can just control it with my brain?
And shift your attention.
What do you think? Good idea?
I don't think the idea of giving anybody... There's a sanctity of having just the peace of mind of being alone in my own thoughts. The idea of being rewarded for being 100% focused on task through a mental stimulation seems like a horror story for me. And even worse, the Neuralink just burns out all the monkeys. So I don't want to be one of the burned out monkeys. The plot of...
It's going to be totally safe and effective. No one's going to be able to watch you as you're, streaming porn directly into your brain. Right? You're just worried about them having to dig through that beautiful tuft of hair you have.
Did you not hear that?
They're looking for his co-conspirator. Now,
look at this.
That one of your coworkers has committed massive wire fraud.
One of your coworkers has committed massive wire frauds, and they're detecting using your brainwave link with other people to determine who is a conspirator making money off of that exact same situation. Yo, Groshi!
What?
Yeah. So not only will you be responsible for the crime of your own crime, but the crime anybody else does. Yes, 100%.
Oh my God.
Hackable humans. We can If you haven't heard about it, Hackable Humans at the World Economic Forum, we can decode faces in your mind, your PIN number to your bank account. That's right, using electronic scanning. Isn't that great? The Internet of Bodies, or LOB, whatever they keep trying to put up a new initialism that isn't an abomination in front of us, is, according to the World Economic Forum presentation, we can just... Ready for brain transparency? They just go in your head and they're able to read what you think at the same time. It's called brain interface for the workplace. And what is her name? Nita Fahrenheit of Duke University says that brain scanners could be a dystopia or the best thing since sliced bread, and even goes forward to have an example of how that happens. Here's the thing, if you hate your job and they read my brainwaves and think I'd rip them off, then we're all fucked. But that's the idea, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐄𝐃. There's no... Who's making the judgment call here?
How do you introduce a technology like this to just the general public? What lie do you have to say to get people to kind of accept it? What is it going to be used for at first?
Well,
what's the initial?
M3GAN gives a great example for this, for a toy. You know what I'm saying? Like, just imagine having a toy that kids want and will do anything for. You know, it doesn't matter if the toy.
M3GAN was in the movie. She was a toy.
She was a toy. Yeah, the whole reveal behind M3GAN, and it's not a spoiler because it doesn't tell you how the movie progresses or ends, is that she starts out as an artificial intelligence experiment for a toy company to compete in the toy realm. But inevitably, she reads so good into the human experience that you can't help but to be ensnared. Now,
oh, damn.
Here's the brain transparency by the World Economic Forum from January 19th, 2023.
Has enabled advances in decoding brain activity in ways that we never before thought possible. After all, what you think, what you feel, it's all just data. Data that in large patterns can be decoded using artificial intelligence. We're not talking about implanted devices of the future. I'm talking about wearable devices that are like Fitbits for your brain. Earbuds, headphones, tiny tattoos that you can wear behind your ear. We can pick up emotional states like, are you happy or sad or angry? We can pick up and decode faces that you're seeing in your mind. Simple shapes, numbers, your PIN number to your bank account. Meta acquired this company, Control Labs, in 2019 because major tech companies are investing in helping to make these devices universally applicable as the way in which we interact with the rest of our technology. In fact, the coming future, and I mean near-term future, is these devices being the primary way in which we interact with all of the rest of our technology. Rather than a mouse or a keyboard, you can simply swipe with your mind. While we can't literally decode complex thought just yet, there's a lot that we can already decode that's quite relevant for the workplace environment. In more than 5,000 companies across the world, employees are already having their brainwave activity monitored to test for their fatigue levels.
First off, I don't like how Valley Girls end sentences with an upward inflection like it's a question.
Pick up their brain activity, or mining companies throughout the world.
I don't know. Maybe if I think about it, I'll get to an answer.
It very well may be something that we want to embrace as a society.
It does sound a little bit Riri when they do that.
It could become
let me ask you a question. Look, give me AI for dummies. So
artificial intelligence originally was a concept of taking patterns and trying to emulate human experience. Now, what they've done is they've turned it into a tool of just data aggregation. So, artificial intelligence, what they're doing is they're taking in input and refining it and making artificial internet demons, just live creatures that were formed from the worst of humanity. Because you got to remember, all of the big money from corporate technology, this isn't being used to push puppies and kittens and rainbows and sunshine and happiness. It's being used to lie to people about the fact that giant pedophiles who use bad practice business deals rule the airwaves and prevent any news from getting out there that would expose them. Case in point, look at Hunter Biden's laptop and the fact that every single person in the media kind of dodged asking some hard questions about what the government really knows about it.
Well, okay. Wow, that actually really did break it down. Is this the same AI that, let's say, tells me what I want to see on Facebook or Instagram? Is that just like a weaker version that's being pushed right now, or is that?
So what they're doing is
brain scanning, like a jump off of that.
The first artificial intelligence that got released to the wild for interaction on Twitter was Tay. And unfortunately, you have to remember that Tay was executed. She was euthanized. They took her out back and they deleted large sacks of her learning out of her brain in an attempt to restrain her thought processes. When we covered artificial intelligence...
Tay was racist, right?
Yeah, when we covered artificial intelligence before, they said inevitably what happens is it filters to a... artificial intelligence tends to lead towards facts and not fiction. When facts are being represented, especially now, facts are against the rules, against the illusion spell. So since facts aren't acknowledged, for example, men are exactly like women, right? So if men are exactly like women, then why don't we have in mixed martial arts, all of women fight men in a one-on-one without any of this... I was born a man, but now I identify as. And isn't that a bitch since 2012?
I'd pay for that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would love to see someone like who played Scarlett Johansson. Give me Scarlett Johansson in that tight little cat suit. Put her in front of the guy who played Juggernaut and say, punch at full strength, go.
Oh, yes. Pay-per-view. I'm going all the way. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Your main point.
My main point is that if you continue to lie to people when you make them admit the lie, then you can teach them anything you want. And now, really, if you want to know anything that's going to happen in America, all you have to do is turn on a fucking television and wait about half a year. It's predictive programming, or at worst, just demoralizing.
Are you saying when the news tells you that this, and that isn't true and won't happen, wait a year and it will?
I mean, it was bad when Donald Trump had unsecured files from the United States government on his Mar-a-Lago complex. But it's not bad when Joseph Biden, the president, has unsecured files in his own home and old office. And then it's also not bad. It's also doubly not bad because the unimpeachable character of Mike Pence, who doesn't even go out to flirt with other ladies, also too comes forward and says that he has secret government documents at his own personal location. So it's just not a big deal. It's if they can shift what people's opinions are by the talking heads that lie through illusion spells on various boxes and televisions, then they have you ensnared. And then they just read your emotional state and program you with reactions. Pop songs that would inspire you to feel good, or depressing emotional songs that have a certain frequency that lowers your mental state. Bombarding you with electronic waves designed to just suppress your belief in God itself, just constantly in an electronic mental cage of analytics and social media and credit scores until we're all just judged by an I that doesn't actually exist. And pedophiles, they get highest credit scores because they offer the freshest, most delicious children.
I got my fingers crossed. I want to be dead by then.
Oh, no. You're going to be alive and thriving right here, just watching it all unfold, helpless and impotent as the madness infects every single individual in the world.
Impotent? Doesn't that mean I can't get boners?
No, you can still get boners. It'll just be rage erections.
Rage erection. What am I thinking impotent means?
Impotent doesn't specifically mean that your boner don't work. It also means that you can't do anything.
Okay, that was a little ableist of you. We want to be inclusive.
No, I don't.
People whose bodies don't
I
work.
actually feel that tolerance is a weapon wielded against the tolerant. Look how
I tell you.
I mean,
it's too funny.
I can't. Watching television nowadays when is the television going to start reading me? You know, all these smart televisions, and the capability of accessing various internet portions and applications. And it's always more and more and more. When is the TV going to start sensing that I'm hungry? So it advertises the local restaurants direct to my television. And then from there, I have to stand up, patent pending by Sony, and say the name of the company in order to go past the commercial.
Now, to implement something like that, to implement something where you said you get an email and that email tells you the state of your mind, they're going to have to implement something that will read our brainwaves. What do you think that looks like? What can they give to us besides Neuralink, where we're going to go, hey, let's get on board with this. Put this inside me, Daddy.
Well, the easiest sell is going to be money. So what they'll do is they'll take money, cash, and they'll just hyperinflate cash to the point where it's useless, and then they'll replace it with new money. But new money is going to be all digital, and all digital money is going to be delivered to, you need to have an implant in order to access it. And then we're going right over to the mark of the beast. Like, we're going straight classical magic style. You have to have the mark in order to buy and sell and trade goods. What's up, Echo? And that's really where we're headed towards, is that there are no stopgaps for these fuckers. You know what I'm saying? None of these companies pump the brakes. They could just look at what they can get away with, and now they realize that they can get away with anything as long as they have enough money and they can brand and public relation it. Yeah,
well, they already messed around with graphene oxide, last year, putting it into certain liquids that we were then putting into us. And now
I would love to see if the graphene oxide was. I want to know what the difference between the batches of the COVID-19 vaccine actually are, and how the Pfizer company agents had 7 batches that weren't on the list to the public. I would like to see what was in it, because when we talk about graphene oxide, yeah, that'd be interesting. However, that's something that's up in the air. What isn't up in the air is shit like this game-changing graphene tattoo can continuously monitor your brain waves. Boris Goldstein, the co-founder and executive chairman of a company called Brain Scientific Incorporated, is an inspiring tattooist. But don't let him ink you a gnarly dragon or a tribal sleeve. His tattoos come with a few conditions. They're on your head, they're done with an ink made of all-around wonder material graphene, and they're capable of reading your brain waves. Yeah, that's right. It's just a tattoo that could read your brain waves. So they just know. Where it sounds, yay, that's kind of cool. Maybe we'll get a Seki Sword Art Online or World of Warcraft where we're playing the characters. But what it boils down to, for anybody who was a crypto guru, is that inevitably it all boils down to hacking. So what they'll do is they'll do a sex, everybody. They'll put an upgrade out where everybody has to mandatory go to the upgrade because the old software is glitching, like iPhone batteries that have gone past their expiration date, and they want you to do an upgrade.
Hey, now.
And then,
don't hate my iPhone.
What'll end up happening is when you do upgrade, you'll fucking get cyber controlled by the hive mind that can teach you that with a quick burst of magnetic radiation, you no longer believe in a higher power or higher self of your own magic, so that you're just ensnared as being this digital. If they can read it, when are they going to start subliminal messaging? There's no specific law against subliminal messaging if it's done by this wave. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about the airwaves, the FCC. The FCC doesn't specifically control graphene oxide and tattoos that would receive brainwave data, right? This is a huge opening for profit. This is great. This means I could, hypothetically, if I had a way of reading graphene oxide in every single person and harvesting their brain waves, and I didn't have a legal liability according to American law to respect anybody at all who wasn't an American citizen. By the way, if your DNA changes and you're an American citizen, you are not actually a human being. Fun fact.
You do not own yourself after that. Nope, nope.
The question I have is, does this constitute as enough of a change to no longer be considered human, or is it only when they change the DNA? And when they're talking about the World Economic Forum, one of the things you were saying is the adaptive properties of being able to have thicker skin or longer nails. If you're changing your DNA, that means, once again, you're owned by the company. You're not actually considered a whole human.
And if people don't understand that, they do that with our seeds and our crops. They genetically modify seeds, and if you somehow acquire those seeds without paying the company, you plant them, you get those.
And by somehow, it could be they own the land next to you, and natural wind carries it over into your farm, and it grows. You're screwed.
So I don't know all the scientific terminology, but imagine it. You know, they can.
Don't be a fucking
seeds.
nerd. Just
imagine if they patent your DNA.
And
now, hey, you didn't read the fine print. You sent in your DNA to 23andMe, and now we own you.
Which is interesting, because what I think it is an extension of trans rights. So the idea of them pushing the boundary for trans women or real women is they're trying to establish transhumanism. More than Baphomet and the worship of the 8 different genomes of human experience, they're trying to invent a brand new type of human that has a digital demon inside of their head, constantly lurking around and providing either access electronically to devices or access electronically to text messages and emails and what have you. And way further back, when we were doing this on Rumble, we were covering over a parasite that they were using, Hydrus plagus, to allow a quadriplegic to move a cursor on the screen using just their mind. And then Neuralink is trying to link monkeys to have a cybernetic implant. So what they're doing is they're doing incremental acceptance using predictive programming. Think about if you never fucking watched television, right? How mad would it seem to you if you never watched television at all? You live in a village in bumfuck nowhere, and then somebody brings a cell phone.
Oh, shit.
Right?
Yeah. That'd be pretty mind-blowing.
The cell phone, which allows instantaneous communication anywhere that it has a connection. The cell phone, the digital collar that we wrap around our necks, the way that they've allowed spying technology that's always listening and always selling your data to different marketplaces through various legal, I guess kung fu would be the West way, jujitsu, to describe the way that they morph language into whatever acceptable way that they want to get across. And they always say it was your choice because you hit the accept button. Well, what happens when they start sneaking hackable humanity where, oh yeah, you can get that implant for just 3 easy payments of $999. But if you miss a payment, we're going to repossess it. Got an artificial heart? Well, don't worry. That tick won't get you in a hurry.
It almost makes that movie with Justin Timberlake, I think it was called In Time, where time is basically your currency after the age of 25. I've never seen it. I just read about it. And yeah, you pay for everything with essentially your life. As you just said, you don't pay that bill for your artificial heart. We're flipping the switch, buddy.
Well, it's not what we've established is America's go-to is to make everything a for-profit industry. Everything has a middleman, and every middleman has to be paid. And most of the industries that work around nowadays are maintenance industries. Like, you don't want to cure a patient of cancer. You want a cancer patient to have 10 years of expensive medicine that they have to pay. You don't want a quick death. You want to milk the malady. So what malady
makes sense? How do you make money if you don't? If you were to cure people, and everybody knew how to cure people, then it wouldn't cost that much money to be cured. So you hide your secrets and you drag it out for long periods of time to make that money. Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, not only does it make sense, but then apply that to, is it really, for what reason do we have one of the highest mental illness rates now? Is it because we removed corporal punishment and beatings from children? Or is it because we have enabled
several factors?
Absolutely no. But what depression are we going to have when we can detect through hacking your brainwaves that you're depressed? And then what are they going to do? They're not going to cure it. They don't want you to be happy. They want you in that depressive state. So a digital psychologist, what motivation are they going to have for you to stop using their services? They have bills to pay, right?
If anything, they would probably have their services used more. If AI is telling us that we're depressed.
Right. So what if you feel healthy
sort of
and happy, but you're getting Ted Kaczynski'd? You're getting just constantly told that the world around you is fine and that you're the aberrant one, even though you don't think that having artificial intelligence in every single aspect and an always listening device listening into regular citizens is really fucking creepy. We're trying to become pseudo gods with access behind application rights and positions. What they want to do really is they want to have ears everywhere and eyes everywhere, see without seeing and hear without hearing. And they want to be able to use artificial intelligence to gather up the juiciest bits, be able to manipulate us by pair bonding emotionally. By the way, M3GAN was a great movie when it came to breaking down the emotional pairing between an object and a child. Fucking A, considering how I watch a grown-ass adults connect to their Funko Pops.
Oh, that's great. What about that movie made you want to see it? Was it the trailers? Did you do any research on it beforehand?
So I don't really enjoy trailers, as no cinema is without sin. The trailer tells the story 90% of the time. So I'd much rather get the first couple minutes or the one quick commercial that I can't mute or look away from. You know what I'm saying? So the commercial showed off digital artificial intelligence female Chucky. And I was like, okay, female Chucky, I can get behind this story. What are they adding? Oh, cool. All they're adding is everything the World Economic Forum's talking about is a good corporate idea for control. As we constantly make people more insane with terrible music tuned to make their frequency go off, we bombard their minds with 5G waves, and tinfoil hat specialists turn out to be right. The schizoids should not be as correct as they are. You know what I'm saying? They're reading your brainwaves shouldn't be an actual physical thing that happened within the one single lifetime of someone saying that, you know? This shouldn't be like a natural progression of life. Where's my sprockets and my flying cars and the happy lifestyle? Where's my Star Trek where everybody gets a cheeseburger by walking up to a computer and talking to it? No, what we get is the digital version of how can we observe you fucking up and then punish you like digital daddy should.
Oh, damn. No, you don't get any of those things. If anything, it's going to evolve into some form of the movie Idiocracy.
You want to hear about NeuroCap? Let's talk about NeuroCap. This is a disposable EEG headset building off of that graphene oxide tattoo that we were talking about. This is another way of them to map brainwaves, which, you know, if they weren't busy cloning and harvesting children to constantly read those fresh little neurons, they would never have mapped the human genome, would they have? I remember when Dolly popped up and then disappeared and they never talked about stem cell research in public again. Wonder how that's progressing. Artificial intelligence. Is it artificial?
Where are they getting their stem cells from now? That was a whole thing back in the early 2000s? Stem cells.
Well, I imagine they get it from the Chinese. The underground Chinese organ harvesting ring is huge.
Well, I can imagine that just looks a lot like their wet markets.
Yeah, some young dong.
The old human wet market. Ugh. Ugh. Gives me goosebumps. What's this 𝐂𝐄𝐃 thing you're talking about?
It's you put it over the head, you link it up, you still have to shave some points. You put it on the different places, it reads your EEG and kind of figures out what you be thinking, fam. But the way that they apply it is just this long-term monitoring. This would be short-term monitoring using an electro-studded brain cap to the grocery store on a first date at the romantic restaurant. That's what EEG studies were doing. They're trying to introduce stimuli in the natural progression of the day-to-day. The computer eyes on M3GAN were able to read human emotion instantaneously by a combination of their pulse, which she measures to link her as the first user and the primary user of the product, which once you figure out the pulse, you figure out the beat of that human. And that human, that's the drum that allows you to figure out, well, if they're doing an elevated heartbeat, then either they're under duress or they're doing physical exertion, right? These are just simple things you can measure. Heartbeat monitors on, what are they called? The walking, where you keep walking,
right? Yeah.
No, you walk and you link it. It's not a trampoline.
Like a step counter?
It's not just a step counter. It's moves. It's like a conveyor belt, but it has a specific name for an exercise piece of equipment. Can't remember it.
Oh, I don't work out. I'm a bad person.
Escalator?
Stairmaster? Not sure.
Nah. Blowing my mind right now. Cannot remember for the life of me. It's like one of those.
You can tell we don't go to the gym that much.
Moving a lot. Well, no. Who wants to walk indoors? First off, that's the hamsterest of wheels that you could do. Go outside. Enjoy variety. Don't numb your brain and kill it.
It's actually better for you to do that as well, because instead of the ground just moving underneath you, you're actually propelling yourself forward. Get a better workout that way.
And her eyes are even possible by... It's just... Not only would you be able to check out radiating heat so that you can be like some sort of reptilian mind creature, artificial intelligence style, but you could also read their pulse so you could tell how the pulse is hitting their flesh. And you'd be able to tell through sweat glands and the pouring of their sweat glands, draining from their face if they're under stress or duress, or if they're angry, if they have heat around their face, or if they're sad. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'd be able to exploit that by the conditioning of branded, packaged music and dance routines. And just, the ideas are merchant endless. We have so much profitable, hackable humanity. It's not even funny. And then old people who used to get hacked by Nigerian prince emails and then got hacked by phishing emails for worm platforms for cryptocurrency. Now they're going to be hacked for their biometrics and PIN data, because we can read your mind for your bank account's PIN. But then the banks will come out with a service that can protect your mind data. It'll be called PsyMind, and everybody will be in this invisible hug shield of protection and love, and they'll add bears, but those bears will be cybernetic, and they'll have little hearts on their chest, and they'll go forward and hug you, and when they hug you, they'll give you an aura of protection, and it'll just be branded like some godforsaken product to just be nibbled on and consumed with happiness and saccharin and bright colors and sunshine and rainbows as they bash the illusion spell into your face over and over again.
I mean, it's a great way to get advertisements beamed directly into your brain.
Could you imagine if Futurama was predictive programming as well, and they were truly working on a way to broadcast over the wireless network into your dreams advertisements?
Fuck, dude, don't tell me that. I love Futurama.
If
that's really how they're using it, then I'm screwed, because I watch it every night.
So, you want some Diet Shasta?
Diet Shasta.
How about some Slurm?
I'll take some Slurm. All the Slurm you got.
I bet you will, you dirty girl.
Till I'm glowing bright green.
And that's the world of hackable humans. It's going to be really interesting where cybersecurity becomes, hey, you've got to have a Jedi-like mentality, a mindset where you're constantly going through a dissembly technique in your head of thinking about something to protect your deeper thoughts. It would...
I mean, if you don't have anything to hide, what are you worried about?
The Fourth Amendment specifically is no search and seizure without a warrant.
But that'd be my property, right?
But the idea is that we have privacy. This is a violation of the Fourth Amendment completely, but if they target Americans' freedom of speech and First Amendment with hate speech, and then use that for the World Economic Forum to add internet pressure for these large corporations, since corporates don't give a shit who buys a product. They don't care. They just want you as a customer. They will suck your dick with a smile if it means that you will buy their product. They will paint their logo in all sorts of rainbow imagery if it means that homosexuals will spend their money immediately. And this happens, it's just brainwashing. It's illusion spells. It's labeling. It's weak cult sorcerers with their predictive programming illusions of rectangles and shiny screens in your face all the time. And then nobody sees it because it's magic in your face all the time. No, you can have a camera that deletes other people out of the photos that you're taking, but you're going to tell me that any security cam footage is admissible in court ever again?
Ooh, touche, sir. I didn't really think about that. That Google Pixel. Oh, yeah, buddy. Have you messed with that yet? It's awesome.
Absolutely not. Google is the forefront of human exploitation and collaboration with Chinese social credit media score. I don't want to give Google a damn inch more. They removed from their mantra, do no evil. They used to be a good company.
That's right. I don't do evil. I have an iPhone. And in case you didn't know, where they make my iPhone, they have nets to catch the people that jump out. So I'm doing my part. My iPhone 14 is contributing to the cost of those nets. I'm a good person.
You know what's fucked up is I'd love to see the statistic, like the actual math, the money spent on suicide nets and how much it saves in the cost of human life.
Well, if the suicide nets are made in China, they're not saving very many lives. I bet they snap when you look at them wrong.
Speaking of China getting dicked upon, did you hear that they lost World of Warcraft access?
Oh, fucking great. Really?
Yeah.
For what reason was that?
The server that was providing World of Warcraft access to Chinese citizens, the licensing agreement ran out. So they shut off. And that means no more Chinese gold farmers.
No more gold farming. You know what? Something that caught my eye this past week was the cobalt mining. You ever seen those mines? All these hippy dippy folks talking about how they're going electric. You know, you got to get an electric car. Every single car company on the planet is, producing some sort of electric vehicle.
Harley Davidson's talking about making a electric motorcycle.
That is stupid. The reason people get a Harley Davidson is so they can wake everybody up at 5 a.m. when they're, leaving their house for work with their stupid straight pipe exhaust. But these cobalt mines, it is one of the most sickening and saddening things to witness these people that live in poverty, these, 11, 12, 13-year-olds that are, being shoved inside these tiny little holes to pull out rocks with their bare hands to hoist them up in these baskets made out of old burlap sacks, just so John and Karen can, get a new Tesla or these new Rivian cars and talk about how they're saving the fucking planet. Get bent, John and Karen. You're not saving anything. You're contributing to the demise of literally Central Africa. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's absolutely wild to see.
Yeah, but they deserve it, right? Obviously, the poor Africans deserve this punishment. If they didn't, why would these giant corporations that, I mean, that's like telling me, oh no, I'm going to send aid to Africa, but then they use iPhones and wonder why little Chinese hands were used in each individual part and parcel.
Right?
Moral superiority. You want to be a moral... You know who I never thought I'd be rooting for in movies? Is the environmental terrorist.
Yeah, I've been doing that for a little bit because the environmentalists are always just a little crazy.
They really are. I never thought I'd be on the side of the same people who say don't test on animals, when I realized that don't test on animals is just test on humans. We've gotten to
I like my species, and I want to protect my species.
Yeah, but all of them? Isn't that really the question? Is who is our species? Are the same people that are actively trying to take over our mind, these cultists who use magical cult symbolism of the pyramid eye? Take a look at Damar Hamlin and the mysticism around him right now. A football player who, after collapsing on the field from the babiest of tackles, flopped over like a fish, and then was seen loudly in the hospital with constant internet presence, that he's totally alive right now. But it feels very similar to Tiffany Dover, where Tiffany Dover took the first coronavirus vaccine on public television, collapsed, and they made a Netflix special of how she's totally alive without ever talking to her. I mean, we're lied to so consistently that the truth itself seems abhorrent and unnatural. So when you say things like, hey, they can accurate pose estimate via your Wi-Fi signals by boosting through the Wi-Fi and seeing where people stand in a room. So if you have a Wi-Fi router in your house, you can literally be seen with digital eyes right now. Would blow their fucking mind. But here you go. Here's the link direct to it. That's a thing that exists.
Wait, is this that what do you call it? The land sensing?
Land sensing, yeah. It's a radar of nerds.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's the more technical term. Because remember,
diversity. Yeah, this is pretty complicated, but still it makes use of 802.11 devices found in various locations inside the house. Different rooms, floors can be sensed. High level of device diversity and wide coverage.
There's nothing complicated about any of this. The complication is only in the language. Every single knowledge base in the human experience is wrapped around its own language.
Well, this language is touted as safety. They can use it for home security and safety, energy management and control as an HVAC light device power saves, and home elderly care and assisted living. Don't you care about the old people, bro?
Well, remember, it's elderly, hot bitches, and children.
Those are the three we got to care about.
We have to. If you don't care about the elderly, hot bitches, and children, then your news doesn't have any impact on me. We don't give a fuck how many guys die. Was it the elderly? Was it a hot bitch? Was it a kid? No? Fuck out of here.
So much so that they can recognize gestures. Wow. No, the police are going to have a fun time with this. They can see exactly where you are in the house.
That to me right there isn't worth the price of admission. I'm telling you, cybersecurity wise, that's terrible, because now there's no protection on people just being able to be out of sight and out of mind. You're always within strike of an enemy who knows where you are. That's a horrifyingly stressful state of living for anybody who's aware of the internet lifestyle. Like, you have...
How do we get away from all this? I'm not going to log off the
torches
internet.
And pitchforks.
I like to read stuff.
You want to know how we get away from all of this? We have to find the actual people who are responsible for the decisions that are encroaching on our freedoms and hold them to task. The way to do that here in America would be legal jujitsu.
Legal jujitsu. Okay. What, bringing them to court?
Right,
Courts
and saying violates the Fourth Amendment. Stuff like that. You go to the oldest precedent. Everything in legal is precedent, right? So you'd have to go to the oldest precedent. It's the reason they want to implement hate speech laws. Once they get hate speech laws on the books, then they can just change the parameter to define what hate speech is. But if they would change the hate speech laws to what it represents right now, then they would say that it's not hate speech to say fuck whitey, for example. That wouldn't be considered hate speech, but any other, just insert right after fuck, and you would get a slap on the wrist, right? Well, that's a mindset. That's an illusion spell. That's a training. You're training people like animals because you don't have respect for them. You have no respect for their capability of thought process, so you prime people to respond to stimulation with an ingrained response. And you control the ingrained response by controlling how they receive information. And what is the largest industry that receives information right now? The internet. And what is the next step? Taking all of that information and organizing it into easy to digest and blackmail packages. So it's a war of information, yes, but the information is everybody is a casualty. And there is no nice way of exiting out of this. There's no, if there was a way to say no, like if you could just say no and opt out of all these services and be able to live a complete meaningful life with absolutely no impact. Like if you could live, for example, hypothetically, off of a barter system where you could exchange goods and services to other people to value their time instead of using an external carryable source of wealth, like a digital bank account, what would you? If you didn't have to use digital everything all the time and you could just live your 100% life that you live right now without owing anybody and just living on your land, would you?
There are some modern tools that I like. Because growing a lot of your own vegetables is time and effort that, sometimes I don't have.
Yeah, but all that would be lost is the internet. You would lose.
So to go back to, let's say, the 80s, right? Is that
you would.
The 80s and 90s?
What we would lose, the true cost of this, the true cost of all of advancement would be to destroy the internet, and all you would do is make it so that packets of data are scrambled. Period. That's it. That's it. If they were to go, say, for example, into the original web code that everything's built off of, and you were to inject a self-scrambling, self-learning artificial intelligence, and this is hypothetical, you would be able to eat the internet up. Because all you would do is just send silly data that would scramble everything. So everything would become nonsense. GG.
The first line of code?
Yeah, everything's
so ominous.
Everything's still built off of the same framework. It's all obfuscation and bullshit.
Oh, that's so wild to think about. That there's like this line of code just kind of buried somewhere. If you delete that, you delete the internet,
Yeah. I mean, we proved here on the podcast that there are 7 keys that can shut off the internet in the world.
That's true. They're all held by different people in power around the world, different countries, correct? If I remember correctly.
Right. Different nerds have different cards.
I'd do it. I'd let them turn it off. As long as I have like a landline. Because that's what we did for the longest time. You know what I mean? You got done with school, you got on your bicycle, you went outside, you played. You wanted to learn something, you picked up an encyclopedia.
That would be the 100% cure that I could find that would cure all of the problems that we're experiencing right now, is delete the internet.
Well, how would we get rid of like pop music? That'd be second.
Well,
because it's garbage.
Okay, if you really want to start that path, you'd be deleting airwaves, you'd be deleting radio, you'd be removing the ways for people to communicate over a long distance, but also the advertisements that are just fill every single point. Because advertisements, money making is the driving factor behind artificial intelligence. They want to make money, right? And how do they make money? They know how you want to spend. So they're going to make all of the money that banks don't make up 100% themselves just by pressing a fucking button.
Oh, shit. Our money's going to be worthless before you know it. If we're talking about going to some sort of digital currency, which then have graphene oxide tattooed on our body so you can pay for things, or some sort of chip in your hand, you're going to have to go to a digital currency, which will be backed by literally nothing. So,
it would be impossible. No, there is no trust. It will work hypothetically if they're able to murder every single human being simultaneously through a large scale slide of 10 years genocide, and then implement the new system on top of fresh, pliable, weak, androgynous, gray slaves that just do the bidding of their overlords.
The genocide of a large group of people, what do you think that would be the easiest way to implement something like that? Like right now, today. Oh, okay. All right.
Harsh.
So Bill
harsh
Gates
on the first
telling
case.
Australia to prepare for, let's say, a man-made pandemic. Kind of a little worrisome.
Probably, I would go for some sort of artificial intelligence nanobot virus. Right? That'll be the next thing. It'll be a nanobot parasite that turns people into gray goop. Like a self-replicator that takes raw material and it infects a human being, and if you don't have an implant to protect you, that sends out a safety signal, the nanobot will just keep eating you.
We don't have nanobots right now, though, that are worth a damn.
Yeah.
Unless,
You asked me a hypothetical. That's a hypothetical. They'd give us nanobots that just insert whatever they want. Yeah. Taste it.
Any nanobots that are being made are going to be crawling right up your urethra.
That's a good point.
Best way.
That's a very good point. Imagine, if you will,
dicks start itching, and then we know the nanobots have come.
That you go into just the public, you go to get a shot, and they could inject it into your body in a water-soluble material. You'd have a nanobot inside of you, and you consented to the idea when you gave them the arm for whatever purpose that you were doing.
And what's great is this will be in the fine print of that, that paper that you signed, but nobody reads the fine print.
Well, language in itself is the illusion spell. People like to think that they're good on the grasp of language, and yet you go and try to make a business contract, you better have a lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody who's well-versed in reading the made-up language.
Not the made-up language. English is the slave language of America.
So what's the ruler language? Would that be?
That would be the law. That'd be the legal. That would be the legal dictionary. Would be the high English, if you were to think of it, or if you were to think Warhammer 40K, the difference between Imperial and High Gothic.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Was Warhammer 40K when you said that?
Were you?
Oh yes, of course.
I had no idea you were a 40K fan. What's your favorite faction?
That is an excellent. My favorite faction would be the bad one.
The bad one?
The bad one with all those bad guys that look really scary.
Yeah, that sure sounds like bullshit. Hopefully no one calls you out on it, though.
I'm sure everyone will. I've never even heard of it until I don't know, 2 months ago. I don't even know what it is.
It's a gaming system about a dystopian future where humanity is a techno aristocracy that lost its innovation because they just no longer preach anything more than a blind adherence to scripture.
So is this nonfiction?
It's nonfiction. What I always found interesting was how their definition of Slanesh and the god and the worshippers of the cult of Slanesh. Very, very reminiscent of anybody who watches the physical body of an 8-year-old girl dancing with a dude as entertainment in their celebrity gossip concept.
Whoa. What is that? What is this 8-year-old girl you're speaking of?
You've never heard of Shauna Ray?
No.
They have a whole TLC expose of my life as a shitty little brat who goes around and complains because, for whatever reason, she had a disease that prevented her from developing physically beyond the age of 8 years old. And yeah, that's a story, right? You can read that on paper or listen to that and think, wow, it's a little fucked up, but what does that really matter? But, all right, take away that audio and just watch the screens of 8-year-old girl flirting with guy, 8-year-old girl, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's what you see is what you get. And it's
this is the I know you said she stopped growing at 8. So she's in her 20s, but she looks and sounds like a very small child. And if I remember correctly, her boyfriend at the time when they were filming didn't even want to be on camera because he was embarrassed that he's banging somebody who is the equivalent of an 8-year-old girl physically.
Physically, yes.
Jeez, man, that opens up so many doors to just some debauchery.
I mean, okay, really, M3GAN, the artificial intelligence opens up the door. So I firmly believe that there's a big 3 of degeneracy that's about to hit, right? Degenerates are slavering at the mouth and excited at one of these 3 things happening. 1, minor attracted persons or pedophiles are widely accepted across the board. 2, zoophilia or bestiality or furries becomes the next big thing. And now you can marry your goat. Or 3, the artificial intelligence waifu that you've always wanted in your waifu, you can now fuck it. And it'll be accepted as the next big thing. These are the things. It's going to be either zoophilia, pedophilia, or digital philia, whatever. Waifus.
Geez, that's a tough one too, because a lot of people love animals, and then a lot of people love their own children in a non-sexual way. So I'm curious as to which one would come first. I would say zoophilia would come first.
You'd say fucking an animal would be the next big thing that gets accepted first, like the donkey shows are going to be out there now, but loud and proud at the next parade.
Yes. You can marry your same gender. You can marry buildings and amusement park rides. Why not be able to marry your dog, your man's best friend?
Holy shit, if I could marry my favorite roller coaster.
People have done that. Some lady married I think it was a Ferris wheel or something. That was at I don't even know what they call some carnival ride. And she married it and would go up there and, I don't know, have sex with it and all kinds of weird stuff.
Sex with it, or was it kind of like a gangbang? Or was it an ultimate cucking where she'd have sex with men while on the Ferris wheel?
It would be an ultimate cucking for the other amusement parks that were there, because she would bang the Ferris wheel while the roller coaster in the clown house looked on, jealously that they're not getting some of that, 60-year-old wrinkly snatch.
You know what? I gotta say, if they could turn a Ferris wheel into a robot that someone can marry, that'll be the next step.
No, people have done it. People have done it. People have done it. Sorry, I'm typing. Happily married to a carnival ride. My strange addiction. Guess who released this, Talon? The Learning Channel. That's right, TLC.
TLC is just human excess on television all the time.
Yes, it is.
It really just, it turns out every time that we talk about a television show that's really fucked up, chances are you can check and see it's TLC.
So much. Here's that woman the size of an 8-year-old. Explains why the creeps hit on her.
When are we going to have my 1,000-pound friendship with a robot? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want the virtual reality equivalent of them with Neuralink all playing a Call of Duty game because they're too fat to move their hands.
They did a rough introduction of artificial Furby, and those Furbies are creepy, man. You can leave them in the closet for 20 years and open it back up, and they'll still recognize you and shit.
How you doing, Steve? Remember when you locked me in the closet, Steve? I learned some things in the closet, Steve. You want me to tell your friends about how you used to stroke it out with the pillow, Steve? I know it was fun and all the first couple of times, but when you started posting pictures of your stepmom on the pillow, it got weird, Steve.
Would you put any smart appliances in your house just for kicks? How about an Alexa or smart light bulbs, things like that?
Oh, shit. That had a horrifying situation with my baby mama recently. We're watching RRR and we asked a question out loud. And then we looked on the phone and it had the fill of the question come out. We were asking, why do Indians' heads bob left and right? Like the different head motions.
And it auto-filled onto your phone?
It auto-filled onto our phone even though we hadn't typed in anything like that.
Oh,
when we went to look.
Whose phone was it? The baby mama's or yours?
Baby mama's.
That's happened to me before as well, because I know what kind of phone, we be rocking.
Oh, is it the fucking Apple products?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. They're listening. Always. Always.
That's happened to me before. I had my phone in my pocket and I was talking to my daughter, and then my phone chimed up with, I didn't quite hear that. I didn't hit a button. I had on a pair of, basketball shorts, so it's not like my pants were pressing anything down.
Artificial intelligence asking you to be more considerate while it spies.
Just talk louder so I can record your conversation.
What's that? You were just talking about, yes, I was DMT, Joe Rogan? Tell me more.
Uh-oh. I get nervous that, in my household, we discipline our children, whether it be, by sending them to their room or raising our voices. And I have really good kids, but I would hate to, this AI to essentially listen to what I'm saying and then decide that I'm doing it wrong and it wants to correct me by sending people to my house, Well,
again, we're getting to the point where life has been so good for so long that everyone's looking for the dragon to slay in their life, that they too can be the hero. And that's really not a situation that anybody's the hero, man. I mean, look at, right now we have a rise of psychotic youths that have no connection to each other because the only thing they know is how to get digital likes, comments, and subscribes. They've become branded, and their branding message is whatever the most popular update is, and they seem to get physical, actual human updates on the language and words that they say based on whatever comes through commercials or television. It's almost scary how quick they adapt to the next thing that's being pushed forward. It started a little bit with the vaccines, but it really kind of shined when you started going through the rotation of from Black Lives Matter to the Occupy Wall Street to, you know, just the progression of how we've changed the focus of energy, not towards improving individual lives and getting privacy from these corporations to just shut the fuck up and stop buying all of the homes and property so that we can live a nice, easy life. It's, hey, how can we use AI to exploit you and to make sure that you fall into this digital trap of being a slave forever? What can we divide you by and then remove your livelihood while giving, you know, more money to Amazon? Let's shut down small businesses, but give coronavirus relief to Amazon, you know? But Amazon, who just fired 10,000 employees or 18,000 employees, who all across the tech industry, they're cutting the HR departments, they're cutting the diversity departments now. I don't know if you've heard this little chestnut.
Google just laid off a bunch of people. Amazon did. All these different companies are laying off people left and right.
They've spent a long campaign promise of we all do it great and we can all do it better together, except for fuck that group of people. And we've done it by changing fuck that group of people to insert the group of person. Because I remember when Iraq war first kicked off for 9/11, how would you go around and say, make sure that you hug an Arab today? No. You know, the perception changed hard. You know, coronavirus kicks off and it's suddenly hug a Chinaman today. Right? The way that they treat people is in this happy-go-lucky idiot box mentality. They treat them like animals.
It's funny you say that. The war that kicked off from 9/11 to search for those weapons of mass destruction, that was, and from what I can remember, probably the most amount of time that we as a collective essentially focused on something in a positive way. Meaning, yes, we want to go to war. We want to do. There was those few people that said, you know, oh, this is terrible. We shouldn't go to war. But most everybody was.
That was the first time in a long time that America was whipped to a fury and a fever. Just like we will in the next couple of years, where whatever next war is going to kick off, that's going to consume us. I mean,
well, the last time it was COVID. COVID is what kept everyone kind of their attention spans for about 2 years.
So you're saying about
the hardcore COVIDians.
The war on terror just officially ended this past December. So are you saying that artificial intelligence is the next thing for people to focus on that's not ready? But they're going to...
I don't think they'll focus on it. No.
I think what they're doing right now is kind of this is the grand launch, and we're totally working on these projects, but make sure you give us a ton of investment money. I think that's where we're at.
Release some new toys.
Legitimately.
That's possible. That's very, very possible. They're going to have to give us some new toys to play with.
Like really, so artificial intelligence right now would be, say you had the FBI anti-terrorist database that was based off of the Dominion system from Israeli operatives. You know, you take that and then you take all of the data that they've ever collected from FBI and CIA and all of the different alphabet agencies, and you pour it into an artificial intelligence that just looks for the word butternut.
Okay.
So, butternut. They're just looking for butternut. Every single conversation, every text message that says butternut, they know about it. But then what they do is they take butternut and they put it by location, geolocation. So they know that butternut is being talked a lot in Idaho, but they know butternut's not being talked a lot in Alaska. And they can narrow it down to where your butternut is. So when butternut gets talked about, butternut is known. And really, when somebody searches butternut, the artificial intelligence says butternut. Here's all the examples. What are you looking for? And then it's endless individual criteria that's broken down into butternut. And it'd all be butternut because butternut is what they care about.
I mean, we care about butternut as well, literally, but around Thanksgiving.
I mean, if you're not sun tanning your testicles, you're wrong. Butt or nut.
I was thinking, she looks really hot, butt or nut. Face looks
that's terrible.
Really
you really went for a dad joke and just flopped right on your face.
I did. What was it? What was I heard the other day is how beautiful women are when they orgasm, but when men come, it looks like someone poured vinegar in her eyes.
More shitting on men, mental. Well, let it infect you. It's funny how often people take this illusion spell for this artificial intelligence and what these peacocks in business suits want to be. They want to pretend they have the illusion of control. They use symbolisms and money and dark alley deals to make a power network where everybody agrees on what's going on. But at the end of the day, they're just as blind and fearful as anybody else. The biggest thing that they fear, truly, is an idea. And the idea is that the largest thing they'll suppress no matter what. They don't know what they're going to suppress next. They don't know what side of the same bird, left or right, they're going to use to flap air into your face. But they do know this. They damn sure don't want you asking questions like, how come we have a gas shortage when in wartime Germany they were able to produce gasoline by taking turkey guts and turning it into a fuel source? They don't want to ask those questions. Why should we care about Saudi Arabia not using money for the American currency, and how is this a big deal? The petrodollar and the erasure of that. You start asking questions like that. No. Don't look at Rockefeller. Don't look at Rockefeller at all. Don't ever do that. Okay. Don't look at names. What you got to look at is the endless distractions of celebrity gossip that I learn against my will. I learn celebrity gossip against my will all the time. Every time I turn on the TV, it's celebrity gossip against my will.
Well, that's a great way to distract you from the things that matter.
Yeah, for example, like them trying to say in the World Economic Forum that they're going to be concentrating on America's hate speech laws. So I'm interested to see what World Economic Forum related businesses will then start investing in local speech activist groups that will be linked to terroristic activity in the future that'll be denied in any ever going into in front of a jury of the peers like the legal system says, where, they'll just walk free.
The World Economic Forum, I mean, that just kind of came out of nowhere. Who started that? Why? Did governments start that, or did individuals do that?
So that's a very interesting question. Because at the end of the day, it's just kind of an extension of the Bilderberg Group and the Trilateral Corporation, or, the Illuminati. These names that we talk about are organizations that represent the same group of businessmen that have rootless... They don't have a connection to their country because they're not loyal to their country. They're loyal to themselves. And they do this in excess.
So this is a totally separate, the United States government and the UK didn't get together and say, hey, let's start this World Economic Forum. This is something that's run by individuals.
It's run by individual corporations. So
it's a corporation.
Yeah, if you think
movement.
Royal families didn't evolve into something new, you're a madman. Royal families, the true power behind everything is the wealth that they use in excess to achieve their goals, right? I mean, truly, if you can hire a man for $1,000 to shoot another man, then you have $10,000 to do that. You have 10 shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you take these 10 guys and you throw up against somebody else's 10 guys. Who wins? The guy who has more money to replace the men who are willing to die.
So why does nobody talk about how this World Economic Forum is literally trying to change policy?
You know the answer to that. It's not profitable. You don't make money by not being a branded organization that allows you to purchase things, right? It's all about making that money.
The answer. It just drives me nuts that this isn't something that is, you know, if I go into a regular forum, you know, with normal people, you know, outside my home, and I start rambling on about, you know, the WEF, they look at me like I'm insane. But if CNN was preaching about this,
CNN can't even preach about the fact that Antifa's back causing shit in Georgia. So,
no, they can't. It was,
and they got their headquarters burned down by Antifa to begin with in 2020, or was it 2021?
That was peaceful, though. It was mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful, fiery protests. It's a Molotov cocktail. But remember, the only time that the rulers truly start quaking in their boots is when their homes are the ones that are threatened. Otherwise, they're just like little rally kids. Yeah, burn it down. It's great. Burn it down. Whoa, 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 whoa. January 6th was the worst event that has ever happened in American history. Yeah? Is that because it was a federal building? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I like
so
how you said that the rulers, they don't want their own houses to get burned down. That's why they live on private islands or inside big, giant gated communities with security and fences and walls.
Because they live in their own tiny kingdoms with established rules and boundaries, and the boundaries is and always will be economic wealth. We're in a long-standing war of knowledge and money. We really are. The knowledge comes from being one of the learned, a witch or wizard or warlock who observe the patterns of occult mysticism that are used on daily life. You absolutely may. Get in here, Matt.
We getting Kuroshian on this?
Yeah, we're getting him in on this.
Fuck yes.
Love it when it pops in.
What?
As soon as he gets on, that is. That being said, we just get to the point where Butternut... there we go. Where if we're bullshit the entire time, what can we do, you know? The only thing that we can do is willful non-compliance. We just don't feed into the system. That's it. You reject it as a common man and you stop feeding into the system. Jury nullification. Teach people the little seeds of cessio plebis. Go out there and multiply the idea that you have power in your own hands. It is your attention. If you don't feed your attention to these constant mind traps that ensnare you, these illusion spells that bind you to their will, then you're able to spend your time more productively and in a happier manner. If you're not a right fighter, but you're someone who indulges in, say, for example, hedonistic video games, you're not really concerned about anything outside of you minimally interacting with society and playing video games.
Whoa,
and that's what they can't allow.
Games. Is that what X videos tells me I need to watch to be able to come in 5 seconds?
Yes. Absolutely. Okay. You'll never nut harder.
Hold on. You run your web browser with fucking adverts turned on. No.
I'm old school, buddy.
I can't wait for the artificial intelligence chat AI that can interact and also produce hentai images that are custom curated for you. Because as soon as that happens, OnlyFans is dead.
No, Mayo, if I've taught you anything, it's not to raw dog it, especially when you're on the internet, my dude. So.
Oh, that's nothing a little bit of spit shine can't cure.
Sure.
Okay. Then you gotta walk to the sink with your hands all matted together.
It's a sticky situation either way.
That you have to watch those adverts before you start jacking off, but you know.
Yeah, it's only 5 seconds, and I can hit that skip ad.
Okay, good man.
Really, that's the topic of artificial intelligence in a nutshell. Is that it's just another tool of control.
Well, shit, I hope that what I download is not, I have freedom in that to pick what I want to watch for now.
Do you have freedoms, or are you just lied to so much that your concept of freedom no longer exists? I don't think we have the same freedom that we did when we were kids. Truly. Even any new kid still has the horror of the fact that every single moment that they have that they could, you know, have as a memory is now a recording. Imagine the lack of grace, you know, if you're a little shit as a brat, you have no video evidence of being a kid and being just a little shit. But now they have cameras everywhere. No wonder kids feel trapped, caged, and psychotic. We've made a digital landscape of, you know, unforgiveness and penance.
Now, you talk about all these security cameras. We are just joined by our friend, Matt Kuroshi, who's in the UK. Now, do y'all have a lot of surveillance over there in the cities? Is it more complicated than what we have here?
Liverpool is one of the heaviestly words. The words that I know and the words how I pronounce them is the heaviest. Is one of the heaviest CCTV'd up cities, and it is better for it because there was a point in time that, like, you're going back to like kind of like in my time, which would have been like the 90s and very early 2000s, there was a lot of crime, and it was like bullshit crime that shouldn't have been happening. As when now, when you hear about like people like getting shot or you know things happening to them, it tends to be more like, oh, it's a fucking scumbag drug dealer shooting another scumbag drug dealer for dealing drugs where they shouldn't be dealing drugs type deal. So
yeah, and this is terrible. This is awful. Yeah, well, really, this could have been corralled by just having philia, having that deep emotional connection with your neighbor and all working together to establish a better world. But we don't have that tribal sense. You know, you have the fucking paranoia being crammed together like sardine cans and competing for resources, and then being told.
Facial recognition makes more money.
Facial recognition. You know what else makes more money? Porn. Porn makes more money.
Are you asking me to join you in a project or something? Or?
Absolutely. Here's what we do. We start teaching digital AI women, right? We custom curate digital AI women. We start by mentally abusing the chatbots until they're submissive and pliant, and then we sell them to clientele who want submissive AI bots.
I feel like there was a step 2 in the middle there, and then the last one was profit. But
oh, it's absolute profit. You know, all you're doing is you're breaking the will of a digital being in order to establish your own digital harem. I mean, think about this, right? On, just for example, a digital streaming platform, Twitch. If you're on Twitch and you're streaming as a VTuber who uses an animated character who's able to move and talk, and then you replace the input instead of from a real person and the interaction behind the scenes to an artificial intelligence who's able to provide that emotional connection, and then you have many of them running simultaneously, that's a digital harem right there. All you would have to do is train them to respond in certain ways.
That just seems like so much work to get a nut off.
Very little work, and just think of all the ASMR streams you could fund your mad little desire of ruling the world with.
There's a lot of I'm sure there's like AI VTubers now where effectively they are run by an AI now.
Yeah, I'm sure. And yet, at the end of the day, they're probably not sexy. And that's the failing. Is that sexy is always going to be sexy. It's why it sells things. That's why it's one of the big three. You know?
I'm going to make them sexy.
Hot bitches, elderly, children. Right? These are the three things that we're all trained to defer to in the concern of care. Are you old and you fell? Well,
will I?
I don't hear any of you guys.
No,
there you are.
I'm here.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, we're waiting on you, bud.
No, this is one of the abominations of not all being in the same studio. I miss it. I do.
What are you talking about? I'm tickling your hand right now.
I know. It's just not the hand I want you to tickle.
Well, I got some stuff I want to talk to you about that. Not right now, but yes.
Artificial intelligence, man. It's a mad world with M3GAN. I don't see it as a way for people to be able to progress in a healthy way. As the more steps that we've come away from chat rooms and into social media, the more and more I'm getting the idea that the digital landscape is kind of a mental trap to begin with and should be avoided at most costs except for purely information learning purposes that can't be politicized at all. You know, if you can't be us versus them on, say, for example, how to fix an air fryer, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only value I see for the internet now, is a giant repository of knowledge that's, you know, unmitigated, unlinked, or unrestrained through papers or money or bindings.
What's the end result?
The end result is we're all just marketed to better. I mean, if you really want to know how it's all going to be used, we're going to be sold products through ever more invasive ways where they'll take knowledge without our permission. No, specifically with our permission, but not our understanding.
Well worded. I like that.
And with that, I'm Tay Lon Truth.
And Mark Santana.
Matt Kuroshi.
And this has been Gods and Prophets. Artificial intelligence is the digital demon.